I arrived at this book really wanting to understand more about economics, more about culture, and more about how the two have intersected, particularly around the financial crash of 2007 to 8. So it started with this desire to understand, but actually it's ended up as being a much broader project, thinking about not only the way in which culture has represented the financial crash and the aftermath, but also how culture itself survived during a period of austerity. The book is about the role of literature specifically, but also culture on a broader level post-financial crash. So it examines this new genre called crunch lit, thinking about why and how literature responded to the financial crisis, but also how culture coped in the aftermath during a period of austerity. I think the book considers a lack of understanding and begins at that point, but it takes it forward to think about why that is. That the language of finance is often impenetrable, it's deliberately peppered with acronyms that are, completely unintelligible to the average person, certainly were to me when I started doing the research, and I thought I had a pretty good grasp of economics till that point. So when you look at the idea about language, the idea of the structure of the economic system, even the kind of the gender of the people involved, and the book takes a lot of focus on this idea of the banking crash as being a one-gender crash, broadly dubbed the he session or the man session, and considers women's role in the crash as well, and then how that's been represented by culture. So it started with a desire to understand, but actually went off to think about language, gender, place and space, and the role of the city and banking institutions themselves as physical places. The financial crash had a huge impact on culture and also on literary production. So a huge proportion of the text is dedicated to thinking about its impact on literature and on contemporary publishing. The final section is actually entitled Culture Crunch and thinks about how, in a period of austerity, culture set about both redefining its own role and purpose post-financial crash, but also sought to deliberately represent the crash and offer us alternative perspectives that perhaps weren't offered in the discourses promoted by the media or by politics. The final message of the book is that value does not begin and end with the economic, that culture has an incredibly important part to play in our understanding of contemporary events, but also in our agency of being involved in the future of our society. This book is absolutely not a strict, dry academic book. This book has deliberately been designed and written for a public audience as wide as possible, because one of the big lessons from crunch lit, from literature written about the credit crunch, is that we all need a much better understanding of economics and of how money itself works in the 21st century.